The girl, who was supposed to be celebrating her new marriage today, returned to her family home all by herself. Seeing this, her family was furious because they expected her to bring back her powerful new husband for their own benefit. That's why they thought this was the perfect chance to demean her. But what they didn't know was that she had orchestrated this entire marriage from the beginning. Actually, just the night before, the girl had agreed to this substitute marriage not for love, but as a strategic move to reclaim her deceased mother's inheritance from her greedy family. Knowing this, the warmth of a family had long turned to ice in her heart. That's when she understood that to win, she must fight back with everything she has. When she was first forced into this arrangement, the girl saw it as an inescapable trap. That's why ever since then, she had been searching for a way to turn the tables. But now, she finally had a plan. When the girl arrived, she saw her stepmother and stepsister waiting to humiliate her. That's when she found out the real battle was just beginning. She realized she was not seen as a daughter. The real role they gave her was just a pawn. Meanwhile, her father bluntly asked why her new husband didn't come, concerned only about losing face. Upon hearing that, the girl immediately fought back, but on one condition: her family must acknowledge her right to her own home. The next morning, without waiting for their approval, she fearlessly entered the house, ready to confront them all and reclaim what was hers. But even there, her own father was the first to berate her. He wanted to discipline her for her insolence in front of everyone. Her arrogant family believed, without her husband's support, this girl is nothing and we can't do whatever we want. But little did they know, her husband was about to make a shocking entrance. So, the girl bravely stood her ground, declaring this was her mother's house. Seeing his wife on the verge of being struck, the husband suddenly appeared in the doorway. So the assistant announced that he came because he was afraid his wife would be bullied. Seeing this, the girl was stunned, but immediately said to her father, "My husband wants me to get experience in the family company," because she knew his support was her greatest weapon. After his arrival, everyone stared at the girl with newfound fear. But the real twist came when we found out that the husband did this not for love, but because he found her to be a very interesting tool. Seeing her rebellious spirit against the Lin family, the husband had decided that she would be the perfect blade, and because the girl wanted to take back her family's assets, her goal was temporarily aligned with his, when in reality, the one he was protecting wasn't a wife, but a pawn in his own elaborate game. The girl, furious at her stepmother's fake kindness, threw her words back at her and left the table. But just then, her father tried to discuss a business partnership with the husband. The girl refused to be left out, but her husband simply told her to wait in the car. In the car, while the girl was waiting for the private conversation to end, she grew more suspicious of his motives. Just then, he got into the car and she immediately asked him what her father had said, but he remained silent. Only when she asked why he also hated the Lin family did his cold expression finally break. At that moment, suddenly, a past trauma seemed to overwhelm him and he slammed the brakes. But what did the powerful husband do? He only threw her out of the car, leaving her stranded and alone on the dark road. After returning, the girl didn't question his cruelty, but said, "He will find a way to pay you back." Just then, to express her gratitude, she offered him a handmade breakfast she had prepared, but the husband couldn't tolerate her probing into his past anymore and directly told his assistant to throw it away. Because of this, the girl's heart sank. So, to finally break through his defense, she brought up the divorce agreement he once offered. She was in pain, nearly giving up, when she overheard him secretly tell his assistant to keep the breakfast. And that's when she found out his tough exterior was just an act. Now, what will happen next? The woman, who had always been distant from her husband in a wheelchair today, suddenly offered him a handmade breakfast. Seeing this, the man was suspicious because just yesterday, she was discussing their divorce agreement. That's why he coldly tossed the gift aside, assuming it must be another one of her ploys. But what she didn't know was that he secretly ordered his assistant to retrieve it from the trash. Actually, just a few moments ago, the woman found out the truth that her husband was not just a disabled man, but the rightful heir to a fortune, who married her only to investigate the car crash that killed his father years ago. Knowing this, the woman's entire world was turned upside down. That's when she understood why in their marriage, no matter how much she tried, he always pushed her away with cruelty. When she had been forced into this marriage, the woman had seen him only as a tragic figure. That's why ever since then, she tried to show him kindness every day just to soothe his broken heart, but he never accepted her goodwill. When the woman thought maybe she could still change his mind, she watched him get violently triggered by a memory and throw her out of the car. That's when she found out the real truth of his hatred. She realized she was just a tool for his revenge. The real target was her entire family. Meanwhile, her stepsister started plotting to steal her husband. by asking for 5% of his company's shares as a bride price. Upon hearing that, the woman immediately made a firm decision, but on one condition. She must take back the family corporation from her greedy relatives. The next morning, without a word to her husband, she went directly to the company to begin her own fight for power and justice. But even there, her stepsister followed her with a group of cronies. She wanted to publicly mock the woman for being disowned. Her arrogant sister believed, "You are nothing without our father's support, and you don't belong here." But little did she know, the woman now had the backing of a powerful ally. So, the woman calmly called them a pack of dogs that needed to be leashed. Seeing his target completely unfazed, the stepsister tried to play the victim to win sympathy. So the woman simply picked up a glass of water and poured it directly on her head. Seeing this, the woman calmly said to everyone, "I know this is me spilling the water," because she knew words were useless against such people. After the confrontation, everyone stared at the woman with a mix of shock and fear. But the real twist came when we found out that the husband was secretly meeting with his father's old friend. Seeing that the man was ready, the ally agreed to help him from within the company. And because the woman's family was the prime suspect in the old car accident, the husband had to hide his true abilities and vast resources, when in reality, the one who was truly powerless was the sister who thought she controlled everything. And this hidden plot for revenge was the real reason behind the couple's turbulent relationship. The sister, furious, threw a tantrum and schemed to get rid of the woman for good. But just then, she deceitfully lured the woman to the hotel's cold storage room. The woman refused to be intimidated, but the sister locked the door from the outside without a second thought. At the office, while the husband was working, he suddenly felt a sense of unease about his wife's whereabouts. Just then, some employees gossiped that the woman might have run off with another man, but the husband ignored them. Only when he couldn't reach her phone did he finally realize she was in danger. At that moment, a desperate search led him straight to the cold storage, where he found the woman collapsed on the floor. But what did the sister accomplish? She only pushed the man to save his wife, while revealing her own murderous intent to him. After waking up in his arms, the woman said, "He knew you would come and save me." Just then, her stepsister's phone call came, reminding them both who the real enemy was. But the woman couldn't tolerate her sister's arrogance anymore, and directly confronted her at the office the very next day. Because of this, the sister was stunned into silence. So, to take back her power, the woman cornered her and declared that the days of being bullied were over. She was in the middle of her counterattack when she saw her best friend had arrived to help, and that's when she found out she had a new, powerful ally in her fight against the family. Now, what will happen next? The woman, who was forced to marry a disabled man in her stepsister's place today, coldly signed a contract with him. Seeing this, the man was intrigued because he expected a crying and unwilling bride. That's why he thought this must be some new kind of act. But what he didn't know was that this marriage was her only chance. Actually, just last night, the woman found out her father was plotting to seize her late mother's entire inheritance. Knowing this, her world turned upside down. That's when she understood she had to fight back, even if it meant marrying a stranger in a wheelchair. When she first heard she had to marry him, the woman was filled with despair. That's why ever since then, she planned every step just to get back what was hers. But this alliance was just the beginning. When the woman thought her new husband was just a pawn, she found him watching her with a calculating gaze. That's when she found out his real motive. She realized she was not just a victim. She was a weapon he intended to use against her family. Meanwhile, her father summoned her back home for the traditional newlywed visit, expecting her to bring her influential husband. Upon hearing that, the woman went alone, but with a clear goal. Her father must give her a position in the family company. The next morning, without waiting for her husband, she directly went to the family mansion to confront the very people who wronged her. But even there, her family immediately belittled her. They wanted her to beg for forgiveness for coming alone. Her arrogant father believed, "This disobedient daughter will soon be begging me for help." But little did he know, the woman was no longer the girl he could control. So, the woman calmly demanded a rightful place. Seeing his daughter all cornered, the husband suddenly appeared, telling everyone he was there to protect her. So he supported her demand to join the company, all in a show of unity. Seeing this, the woman was surprised and said to her father, "My husband wants me to get experience in the company," because she knew his support was her strongest leverage. After the confrontation, everyone stared at the woman with shock. But the real twist came when we found out that the husband's hatred for the family ran deeper than anyone knew. Seeing that he was meeting secretly with an old family friend, we learned that his father's car crash years ago wasn't an accident, and because the woman's father was the main suspect, who then took control of everything. The husband mistakenly thought she was part of the enemy's family, when in reality, she was just another victim of their schemes. A woman, determined, started her first day at the company, saying she would reclaim what was hers. But just then, her stepsister came to sabotage her, luring her into an empty cold storage room. The woman refused to be baited, but the stepsister locked her inside without hesitation, in the freezing room. While the woman was desperately calling for help, her husband was searching for her everywhere. Just then, he confronted the stepsister, who mockingly told him the woman was probably with another man. Only when he saw the cold dread in her eyes did he realize the truth. At that moment, suddenly, he understood she was in mortal danger. But what did the husband do? He rushed to save his contract wife while leaving the true villain behind. After the rescue, the woman whispered, "I knew you would come for me." Just then, he saw how vulnerable she was, and something in his heart shifted. But the woman couldn't tolerate this act anymore. The very next day, she directly confronted her sister at the office. Because of this, the entire office was shocked by her audacity. So, to further her plans, she enlisted the help of her best friend, who got a job at the company to support her. She was celebrating with her friend, slightly drunk when she was urged to send her husband a text. And that's when she typed out the message, "Husband, I'm drunk. Come pick me up." Now, what will happen next?